This is the story of Masha and Sasha, two Russian peasants who all alone had no children until they found a small bear that they named Misha. And Misha was the strongest and smartest little bear in the entire world. This will be the story of Misha and his interactions with Vassa Lisa, the young and beautiful, when she had been captured by a horrible and terrible Baba Yagga, a witch in the Russian plains. One day, two old Russian folks who pined for children of their own, Masha and Sasha, they were loved in their town. They had lots of things that they did, but they didn't have any children. And a couple without children, or a dog or a cat, can have a lonely life. And so this couple, they went walking one day when they came across a lonely bear whose parents had been killed, a little teeny bear cub. But what an unusual bear cub. This bear cub learned to speak, and he learned to play with the other kids. And so while he grew up there in this little Russian village, the other kids in town would play with him as a little bear cub. But as he grew, and the children grew, he grew much larger than the children, till one day the other parents in town were afraid that Misha would hurt their children. So Masha and Sasha said to Misha, who had learned to speak, that he needed to leave the house and to go out and make his way in the world. Well, Misha, being strong and smart, thought to himself, I can do this. And so he walked off to see the world, to learn what he could learn and see what he could see. And as he walked, he ran across a number of people. You guys get to be the giants in this story. He came across, as he walked, a large stream, a stream too big to cross. And as he sat on the side of the stream looking at it, a large giant approached the stream from the other side and looked down on him and said, Ho, little person, who are you? My name is Misha, and I'm the strongest and smartest little bear that ever lived, but I'm stuck on this side of the stream. What's your name? And the giant replied, My name is Stream Drinker. And at that, he leant down, and he bent down, and he drank up the entire stream, allowing Misha to walk across. And then he spit the stream back out, and there it was again. And the two of them walked off to seek their fortune together, Misha and Stream Drinker. And as they walked along a little further, they came across a thick woods, so thick it was impenetrable. And as they stood there, scratching their heads and saying, How will we ever get through this woods? Another giant appeared, and he said, Ho, little fellow, who are you? My name is Misha, and my friend Stream Drinker and I are trying to get through this forest. And the big giant replied, My name is Forest Cutter, and I cut forests. And saying that, he took out a large broadaxe and swept clean a path through the forest. And the three of them marched on together, as happy as they could possibly be. Friends forever, they're going to learn what life is. And as they marched on, they came to a small clearing. And in this clearing, they assembled a little shack. And they made a place in the shack. They took some clay and some bricks, and they made a stove, and they brought water in from the local stream. It was a very nice house. But you cannot live in a house without food. So the very first day, Misha said to the two giants, I'm going to go hunting, and I'm going to bring one of you with me. The other one will stay here and finish making the stove so we can eat. And saying that, Misha and one of the giants walked off, and it was a very successful day. They managed to hunt down some deer, and they found a lot of berries and fruits, and they brought them back. But during the time they were gone, something very strange happened at the little cabin. While the giant was inside, trying to figure out how to make the stove work best, from outside, a large rock rolled away from a hole in the ground, and from outside, inside the hole, outstreamed a witch on a broom, a Baba Yagga, a strange and terrible, powerful witch family who roamed throughout the entire of the Russian steppes. Every one of them had the same name, Baba Yagga. So terrible and fearsome were they that only one name was needed. This witch came whipping into the little shack where he found the giant, and the witch beat the giant mercilessly, and tearing off a strip of his skin, she ate it and shoved him into a closet, locking him there. And then she left, going back down in her hole of the rock, rolling in front to hide it. Later that night, Misha came back with the other giant, and they came in, and the stove hadn't been finished, and they were hungry. There was no food to eat except for what they had just brought back. And they found the other giant locked in the closet. What happened? What happened? And the giant, he said, "Oh, I'm ashamed. I fell asleep." Because he was ashamed to tell him that this witch had come and beaten him, that this woman had just beaten him horribly, and she didn't even mention the strip of skin. And the next day, Misha said, "We have to go out hunting and gathering food again. There's not enough food for us to eat day to day. You stay here," he said to the first giant who had gone with him. "You cook. You finish the stove. I'll take this waste of flesh with me, and we'll see if we can't find something else to eat." So Misha walked off with the second giant to go find food, and food they did. They hunted down wild pig. They brought fish from the stream. They had apples and pears that they found growing on trees. And at the end of the day, when they came back, only to find out when they were gone, a big rock had moved. The Baba Yagga had come out of her hole and whipped into the cottage once again, beaten the second giant to the ground horribly, torn off a strip of his skin and eaten it, and locked him in a closet. And when they came back, Misha and the other giant and said, "Where's our dinner? Where's the other giant?" Locked in the closet. Well, the first one knew what happened, and the second one came out and he said, "I'm horribly ashamed. But a witch came and beat me mercilessly and tore off some of my skin and ate it and locked me in the closet. That's why I didn't get any work done." And so Misha said, "We have to put an end to this." And so the three of them walked over to the big hole. They got down and they moved the rock because giants are large. And they looked down in the hole, and Misha said, "I'll have to go down the hole. You two must lower me." So they took vines and things and they tied them all together to make a long rope. They lowered it down the hole, and Misha crawled down the hole. It was a long drop down. He let himself down the rope a long way. And when he got down to the bottom, he was in a large tunnel, which opened up into a whole nother world, trees and birds and just a whole world underneath in the hole of the Baba Yagga. And as he walked along in this forest underground, it started to rain inexplicably. And there in a tree was a small nest with 3 little chickies in it. And it was raining, so he covered up the little birds with his own body. And while it rained, he kept them dry. And then he walked off to finish finding, the witch. And as he walked off, there he could see it, the home of the Baba Yagga, sitting there on 4 chicken legs. And that's how the home of a Baba Yagga is. It is a shack, and it's built on giant chicken legs, and it walks around the forest to different places, which is why you can never find them, because they're always moving. And these Baba Yagga are such terrible witches. And she was gone for the day, and Misha came up to the little shack, and inside it was the most beautiful girl you ever saw, Vassa Lisa, the young and beautiful, and she was gorgeous. She had long hair and a shapely body. She was healthy and smiled a smile like you never saw before. And Misha came in and said, "Who are you?" And she said, "I am Vassa Lisa." He said, "You are young and beautiful." And she said, "I live a horrible life. The Baba Yagga keeps me locked up in her day and night. She never lets me out, and she only goes away sometimes. She's gone now." And Misha says, "Come with me, and I'm going to rescue you." And so he takes the young girl, and they run off into the forest, and the Baba Yagga's house walks around in its clearing, all agitated because it knows something's wrong. And the two of them walk, and they walk, and they walk. And it starts to rain, and they hide underneath the trees, and they go a little further till finally they come to the pit. And there the rope is hanging down, and the 2 giants are up at the top. And Misha yells up to the top, "Yo, giants!" And the giants yell back, "Yo, Misha!" And Misha says, "I'm sending up Vassa Lisa, the young and beautiful. Bring her up and then throw down the rope again." And so the giants pull up Vassa Lisa, and it's a long way. And when they finally get her up there and she comes out, the giants are amazed by her beauty, and they each fall deeply in love with her, and they begin to fight. And neither of them throw the rope back down, and they just fight with each other to see who's going to keep Vassa Lisa. In the meantime, Misha's down in the hole, and a bird comes up chirping to him and says to him, "I am the mother bird of those 3 little baby chicks that you protected from the rain. and I am a magic bird, and I'm going to help you get out of the hole. Climb on my back." And in saying so, she grew very large, large enough for Misah, the strong little bear, to climb onto her back. Flapping her wings, she threw herself into the air and flew right up the pit, where there at the top the two giants were still fighting. And Misah beat the two giants senseless and sent them on their way, telling them that neither of them could keep Vassa Lisa. She was a human girl. And Vassa Lisa and Misah lived together for a long time after that. They had a long and happy life. And you have heard the story of Misah, the strongest little bear there ever was and the smartest little bear, and Vassa Lisa, the young and beautiful, and the travails and troubles she had with the Baba Yagga, a terrible witch of Russia.